interesting.
So with your father, talk to me about your relationship with him. Like, what did you think of him?
I think you just love your parents because they're all that you know, and you don't know that you're growing up at the racetrack and with all these unsavory characters. But I did know that I did I did want to be with my mother. And I didn't speak to him, I don't think, from the time that I was 4 to like 13 for the most part.
Okay.
He was a horse trainer. My stepfather was a horse trainer. So, like derby, like race horses.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of competition between them, and they'd run together as buddies. So she was with both of them, and she was stunning. She actually looked just like Michelle Pfeiffer in Scarface at that time. And she did a lot of wear and tear on her body over the years and didn't look like that in the end. But she was very, very charismatic and beautiful, and everyone wanted to be with her. So there was that between them, and it was like constant. I was like a pawn, and there was a lot of competition between them over the course of my life.
13 years old, you reconnect with your dad. You said, like, was there anything you admired about him or you saw in yourself, or was it very polarizing?
To be honest, I knew that he was this Hall of Fame famous horse trainer, and he lived in California. And so there was something like rich and intriguing about him. Like I would watch movies like 16 Candles or Pretty in Pink and want to be in this life and live with him, but he didn't really want me per se. And I didn't want to be in either world. I sort of fantasized about the life with him that I didn't have just because of movies, but it really wasn't like that.
So you're an only child?
I'm an only child.
Okay. So that's like full pawn.
They weren't really fighting about me, only at certain big ticket item times.
Right.
Like
child support.
Over child support and over my real father seeing me in winter circle pictures with my stepfather. And I kind of really wished that my real father wanted me, and he didn't. And then my stepfather told me that my mother never wanted me, and she had me on her 20th birthday, which is why usually my birthday is challenging. And this year it was a breakthrough. So, and it actually was related to her, and it like brought back a lot of that. So,
oh, Bethenny, it's a lot. It's a lot.
I don't think it's a lot. And then you ask it like that, and I think it's a lot. So, yeah.
I mean, it's a lot because I'm also hearing like your stepfather and your dad, like there's like this like pissing competition between two men, and you're, yes, kind of this pawn that it's kind of like who it
wasn't about me.
Right. But it was about them. But then they used you to make it. And it seemed like to them, they were like, oh, it's about, but it's not about.
Yes.
It was about them.
Yes. And they were all very, very messed up characters, like really like equally messed up people.
When you had to go live with your mom and your stepfather, how was that?
My mother was stunning, and her deadliest sin was vanity. I was talking to Chris Appleton today about this. I'm not a vain person, meaning like now I make more of an effort, but I'm not intrinsically a very vain person. I think that's actually evident in a lot of my content. Like you see, I don't care. Like, so I'm not intrinsically a vain person. And my mother was vain to a fault. So she had a lifelong eating disorder. And I caught her for the first time when I was 7 years old. She was throwing up, and she used to binge on everything and sauces and like torture waiters if it didn't come out like raw. And like, it was just like a constant like torment about her. And then she'd be in the bathroom for hours after every meal. So my mother was a lifelong bulimic, alcoholic, cigarette smoker. And she always wanted to be a model. And her sister was 6 feet tall and always wanted to be a jockey. And my mother was 5'4". And back then you couldn't be 5'4" and be a model. So she was very vain. And that was a big character in my childhood. And she married an Italian horse trainer who had a lot of mob ties and would like tell us that we had to move from one house to another, and there were guns in the house, in the car, and like she would go out to Studio 54 till all hours, and then she would like punch her fist through the window because he wouldn't let her in, and I would have to call the cops, and he would physically abuse her with the phone, and it was after she died, I gaslit myself, like blaming myself for a lot of things, and I had to call friends from my childhood after the funeral to say, like, what was it like? And they were trying to be polite because you don't speak ill of the dead. And they were like, well, she had a lot of interesting characters around and and I go, no, I need you to tell me, because I'm now gaslighting myself because I read one letter she wrote that was nice to me, and now it's all my fault. And my friend Matt from high school was like, no, your house was criminally insane. Like, they were calling child services and there were cops there all the time. Like, that was not a house to be in. So it was a very